Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket eights. In this hand, we have under the gun folds, and I am in early position under the gun +1 with eights, and I open raise to 3. It folds around a big blind who calls. So I think my eight's a standard opening here. This is EP2 position. You could see that range is going to be somewhat strong, 11%. I have added 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s. I've added 7-6 suited, 6-5 suited. Occasionally, I've added some of the ace-2, ace-3. I think this is a good starting range here. Just kind of depends on how the table's playing. This is a 10NL game. We've got some at this table. Seems like we're not overly loose. Not overly tight too, so just kind of middle of the road players. This player is playing 29-16-3. I have played with him quite a bit. I've got 1,000 hands over the last 3 months. We've got called 2-bet from blinds range, everything from queens all the way down to, let's see, 7-6, 9-3 off, Jack-6 off, Jack-9 off. We got a lot of stuff. So just based on a stat, he's playing, or he calls 2-bets 55% of the time from the big blind. He plays big blind 43% of the time with a 3-bet percentage of 2%. So, if we look at his range, I'm going to give him something like this. This is over 50% of his range. I'm going to assume he's going to 3-bet queens plus ace-king. And actually, we already know he calls queens, so I think we're going to leave that in there based on all of his notes. Let's see here if we have a 3-bet. 3-bet blind versus steal, queens. Yeah, this isn't necessarily steal range, so maybe queens will just call here instead of 3-bet. Take it out. We'll just go with this. So we've got my stronger range versus his wider range. Flop comes down king, queen, 6. I think overall this kind of helps my range. Or I'm going to have advantage here. Fewer hands to get rid of, basically. That's really the key. Because he has king, queen. I have king, queen. I have kings and queens. He doesn't have kings and queens. We both can have 6s. We both can have like straight draw possibilities. We can both have like ace jack, ace 10, jack 10, 10 9, and so forth. But again, I've got slight nut advantage, so I think when he checks, we're going to be betting this. We should be betting this, and I think we would be betting this with quite a few of our hands. So I think we'd be betting top pair plus, probably middle pair as well. I think we've got some good position. We probably turn pocket pair less than the second card into bluffs. We'll be bluffing or betting as a bluff our straight draws. That includes our gut shots. 2-card backdoor flush draws. I think we are betting. That's still straights. With the ace jack, ace 10. I think ace 9, the aces, probably king 9, king 10. Yeah, we're betting close to 100% here. I wonder what we're missing. But yeah, we're betting close because when we think about what kind of hands could villain call with, I'm going to say he's going to call with middle pair plus. He's going to call with straight draws, gut shots. Maybe he calls with these other pairs. His fold c-bet set's actually pretty high, 55% in position, 60% out of position. He's not really continuing with a whole lot, so if he's only continuing 34%, he's going to be folding, 66%, 65%, about 66%. He's folding a lot of hands, so we should be c-betting this like crazy, especially since this, our range, this board hits our range much better than it hits villain's range. So villain checks, we bet half pot. We could probably go a little bit smaller. We could probably go down to 2. It's going to be a little less than a third pot. And I think that still gets the job done. I think it's still, villain's still going to fold. So we've got our range and probably just 100% here. We bet, villain calls, so we are going to go with that call. And now that, if we assume he's going to have queens plus, and actually it's probably good for queens, king spades hits, that's going to make it less likely the villain's going to fold. Makes it harder for me to have a king. So if he has a queen, he's going to think, well, really, I have to have one of those 2 kings left in my hand in order to hit the set. My guess is that when he checks, I think he's going to check everything. And I call, he's going to be calling middle pair plus again. I still think he's going to call the flush draw. I think he's going to call the open ender. Gut shot's questionable. I'm going to say no to the gut shot. So he's only folding 32% of the time here. So it's not really going to be an auto bluff spot here or an auto profit spot. So villain checks. I did fire again because I think I'm turning, at this point, I'm turning my 8s into a bluff, but I also think villain could have a straight draw, could have improved to a flush draw. And yeah, we could have, but I think in my mind, I'm hoping he has a straight draw. And I don't think he has enough straight draw. So yeah, I think he could have a straight draw, but most of his hands are going to be these pairs, middle pair, or now 3 of a kind. So I don't necessarily like this bet. I think the king, that next king, that the second king that came out, just kind of hurts my hand a bit. So what do I bet? I think we're going to bet 3 of a kind. I think we're going to be betting. I don't really like betting the flush, so I've been in this situation where I bet these straights or flush draw and I get raised and I have to fold because I'm not getting the odds. So I just feel like in this situation, why bet and risk getting check raised? Why not check these hands behind and see the next card? So if I'm going to be checking those and I'm betting 3 of a kind plus, then I have to have some sort of bluffing range. So this no-made hands could be like these hands that, like, if I get check raised, I don't mind folding because I don't really have anything. See, like 10-9, Jack-9, I could catch the gut shot. I could catch a jack if I have 10-9. I could catch a 10 if I have Jack-10 and improve me to the straight, and that could win the hand. But I'm kind of thinking that's what we're doing. That's what we would be betting as a bluff. And then would I necessarily turn? And I think if we're going to be doing that, then I think possibly we're going to say if we could check those as well. So if we check and he bets, we do have trips in there. We do have some protection, maybe. But we do all of them. Maybe those, because we block, having the ace or having the 9 blocks some of the straights. Since we block them, it's less likely that they'll come, a little less risky, and could be a possibility that villain tries to bluff at it. Something like that. What do I do with all of these? I think we already have our no mate hand, so I kind of think we're going to be checking these mid pairs behind and hoping that we somehow connect. So I didn't do that. I bet half pot. So let's get this, and then we're going to leave those, and we could always add in some of these pairs as a bluff too, but I think we're a little unbalanced here on our counts. But we're gonna say that's our bet. Villain calls. Would he check raise at all? Yeah, I kind of think maybe 3 of a kind's gonna check raise here. You know, with the king. Could. Full house, I think it's probably just check calling. Gonna play, so he'll probably come alive on the river. Say there's a chance that 3 of a kind could check raise here. River's the ace. That's not good. Straight gets there. Villain checks. I'm going to check behind. I'm basically going to be checking behind all but quads and full house. Oops. So quads, full house is going to bet, and then probably nothing hands like 8, 7, 9, 8. It's going to be bet. 3 of a kind top pair. Check. We've got some showdown value here for us. So villain checks. I check behind because again, I kind of think full. I mean, it's possibility full house is going to bet here, but I think straight. He's got all of these, and if I bet, what's he gonna fold? Possibility he ultimately folds the queen, but I don't know. I think if he's gonna call this long, he's probably gonna call again. He's not believing that I have a king, so he's gonna just think, well, the ace is unlucky. So if villain comes up, he shows king 7, so he didn't check raise the king 7. Did he have it in his hand? He had king 8, and I'm gonna call that a win. Gonna call that one a win. So I'm curious what GTO would say. So I think we're gonna run it and check it out. I'm curious, and I believe we're gonna be c-betting this, but it's that turn decision. I think my turn is supposed to be a check, and I think we would probably check our draws, our flush draws, straight draws, because we don't want to be check raised. So I'm gonna go back to the flop because I need this. We're gonna run GTO, and we'll come back when we have our answers. All right, this is a longer solve. Pull it over here. I did add king 7 off to villain's range, so villain should be checking nearly 100% of the time. No big surprise, he checks, and then I'm betting 97.1%. That was right. I had it. You know, 9s, 8s could be slight checks, but I thought that's how we play it. We bet. Villain calls. Villain's calling range includes kings, queens. So basically middle pair plus. He does have check raise for 2 pair and sets. I think that's good. I think I probably would have played that as well. What happens on the turn? So on the turn, and this is where we could probably fix it. We could probably set up our range going to the turn, where we could say, okay, villain's not gonna raise sets or 2 pair. He could. Is it in his stats? Yeah, check raise 2%, raise c-bet. Yeah, it's possible. I wonder if we've played with him enough. Donks paired flop, donks the flop. Yeah, we didn't address donks, but I don't think this is a board he's gonna donk. So, yeah, okay. So king, he calls, but as I was saying, we could like put up our range basically on the turn to really narrow down what I think we should be doing against that range. But this is GTO, so we bet, he calls. So villain should be betting here. Villain should be betting the kings. That's interesting. I'm not sure if I would have bet that or not. Definitely it looks pretty strong. He's going to balance these three of a kinds, the kings, with and full house. He's going to balance that with some of his flush draws. Not too many, probably because he doesn't have a huge number of hands. So he's got some with his flush draw, some with his weak pair, looks like. Oh, some of the sixes, yeah. Okay, so let's just say he checks because that's what I'm getting at. And then we're betting 37%. So a significant drop in our betting. It's right. Yeah, we should be checking these middle pairs. We're betting our three of a kinds, our full house. Some of our full houses are checks. I did say I was going to check like ace king. Ace king, king nine. So it looks like he's using like pocket queens as our check, which might be actually a little bit better because we're allowing villain to have the kings. We're allowing villain to have the king. Now what about our draws? Flush draw looks like he is betting. We are betting the flush draw. We're betting our straight draw. So GTO is suggesting that we are betting. If we check, then villain should be raising 0% of the time. So GTO is basing his play on this idea that villain shouldn't be check raising here. He's not going to have hands to check raise because he's supposed to be bleeding those. But I don't think that's always true. So like if he bets, what are we raising? We're raising some of our full houses. We're raising some of our three of a kinds, but we're not really raising a whole lot of our flush draws or straight draws. So we're right with checking our hand. So this was incorrect for us. We should be checking behind. I thought the flush draws, straight draws, we should probably just check those behind and take our showdown. More likely to bet the gut shot though. Lower chance of improving, so might as well go for it. Oh, those are all flushes. So combo draws, flush and straight draw. I guess if we bet and we get raised, he doesn't have anything for us. What about this other gut shot? Jack 9, diamonds, hearts. Okay. Alright, so not terrible. I think we check behind on the turn with the eights. But, I don't know. I almost feel like we checked our draws. So that we don't, if we get check raised, we don't have to fold it. We don't give up our equity. Well, we'll have to run more of these, kind of see what GTO, and probably have to set up what are called toy games, kind of start with what I think we're at, where I think we're at on the turn, and that kind of go from there. All right, and also kind of lock some hands. So if I know he's not going to be betting these, if I set those to checking, then what does that do? Because now he's theoretically could have these trips and could raise me. All right, so, but we'll leave that for another day. So hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.